hard. It's tough. Sometimes being a church member is hard. And it's tough, and sometimes the way is too hard for people. And often, sometimes people will say something like, well, I don't want to say nice things when I don't really feel that way because I don't want to be hypocritical. This is one of the arguments that we get often. But sometimes, and this is an important point, we have to act our way into a new way of thinking. This is the problem with all the self-help stuff. You can't help yourself. Because it's all based on go deep inside yourself and you'll change outwardly. How many times have you heard that in the self-help stuff? You can't help yourself. People in recovery groups, they know this. You can't recover, you can't be sure until you have a community of people who are helping you to do the right thing. And you have to change yourself from the outside in. Jesus knew that. Jesus' parents knew that. So they took him to the temple every single time, as was their custom, because he needed that outside influence. We also believe in the ministry of the church because we know that we have to gather people together from the outside in. You have to clothe yourself with good things, the good things you know you should do. There's a funny story about Shaquille O'Neal, 2000, when he won the MVP award. He said, well, now I want people to call me the Big Aristotle. He said the Big Aristotle because Aristotle once said, excellence is not a singular act, it's a habit. You are what you repeatedly do. Love binds everything together, Paul said, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved. Do you think of other members in the church as being chosen by God to be here? Do you think about them as being moved by God to draw closer into God's love and with one another? Have you ever thought of other church members as beloved or as holy? That's what Paul said. That's what he said. There's Holy Doug. There's Holy Bill. There's Holy Don. Did anybody ever say that? You ever hear that? Holy Doug. There is Ruth, beloved by this congregation. That's the way Paul taught. Because he knew people were knit together. Hear the triad he's got in this passage. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. It says rule. Think about all the bad things that people let rule in their hearts. Bitterness, anger, fear. What rules in your heart? Does the peace of Christ rule in your heart? Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. Does the word of Christ dwell in you richly? First and most important thing in a new year is to have a goal, to focus on the things that are important. And Jesus, at this presentation time in the temple, he made a commitment. He made an intentional commitment to spiritual growth and to have a relationship with God because he wanted to be about his Father's business. As God's chosen ones, not just Jesus, but you, holy and beloved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, and above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. Amen.